Om Shri Sai Ram. We welcome everyone here to Sai Dev Talks. This is session number 5. Sai Dev Talks is the platform where the alumni of Sri Sathya Sai educational institutions working in the social and development sector share their experiences. It's a very unique platform, and you can go through the earliest 4 sessions on our YouTube channel, the link of which will be shared in the comments below. Today, I have the privilege of introducing Anand Nergunam. Mr. Anand has a vast experience of nearly 25 years in the manufacturing, consulting, and technology sectors. He did his BCom honors from Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, followed by Chartered Accountancy course and his company secretary, followed up with an MBA from the prestigious ISB. He currently works as Vice President Revenue Management and Growth at Zoho Corporation. Just to set the context, we would be talking about Zoho schools today, and Anand will be sharing deep insights and the philosophy between what has happened in the last 20 years, a very unconventional approach by Zoho Corp by starting Zoho schools, which started as a very bold experiment from classrooms without textbooks to careers which are driven by curiosity. Zoho schools today has empowered thousands of young minds to dream big, learn differently, and thrive without a conventional college tag. So I'll hand over to Brother Anand. He will be taking us through a presentation, followed by a Q&A. We have certain questions from our registered participants. So we will take that first, and then followed up based on how time permits, we can take some live questions as well. So without much ado, hand over to Brother Anand.
Sai Ram, Parikshit brother, for the kind introduction. Offering my most humble pranams at Bhagavan's lotus feet. At the start of all the DRHP process, they make some disclosures, right? So let me make some disclosures. Zoho Schools is the brainchild of Rajendran Dandapani and Sridhar Vembu. So I'm talking about that basis my own observations and some interactions, of course, with Zoho Schools. So it's almost impossible for me to do justice to what it has been as an entity within Zoho. So I may not be able to give it best, but I'll be happy to invite you all anytime to Zoho Schools. Then I can walk you through. Right? The second one is, whatever I say may sound very, a social idea or a concept. This was purely a business need. This arose out of business need, and this continues to serve the business need. It happens to address a great social cause, but it started out and it continues to be, if you can call it for profit or for business. Okay, that's how this has been. So I want to be very clear that it doesn't get understood as a CSR initiative of Zoho. This is not a CSR initiative. This is deeply entrenched into the strategy of Zoho that comes from the belief systems and what we have been as an entity all along. Right? So we've always been unabashedly rural, and we believe in the strength of rural. Sridhar keeps talking about, people think opportunities are universal and talent is regional. We actually believe at Zoho that the talent is universal and opportunities are regional based on the choice that you make, right? So every student has the potential, provided they are given the opportunities and also the encouragement to go and explore themselves. And that's how the whole experiment started. So I'll take about 15 minutes to walk through whatever little I understood, right? And then we can take it from there. Give me a second. Parikshit brother, is my screen visible?
Yes, very much. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's new paradigms in education, a completely contrarian approach with the belief that if we are able to tap the raw talent, and if we are able to channelize them and empower them and give them the resources, you can definitely get diamonds. Like, after all, that's how diamonds are also born. So that's the belief with which we started, but it didn't start like this at all when we started. The real reason we started was completely different. I'll talk about that as we go a little bit down with the presentation. So we've been around for about Zoho as a company for about 25 years, 55 plus products. We have actually 100,000 customers right now. Sorry, 1 million customers right now, and 100 million users, about 17,000 employees. So this is Zoho. But the philosophy of us starting this came out of the need, which was like in 2004, we ran a poll, okay? And this was to know how useful is the college education from the employees who were working for Zoho at that point in time. Okay, the necessity was, we had at that time, this company was called as Rainbow Systems and AdventNet. It was not even christened as Zoho by then. The necessity was a serious shortage in terms of the talent that we could find for the work that we were doing, right? So I can proudly say globally, we are one of the very, very early companies to get into a SaaS kind of a model. So it had everything from infrastructure to development to say security, privacy, safety. So there was serious shortage of talent. So we ran this poll, and 43% of them said it's a massive waste of time. Okay, and the teachers were no good. So this 13% said wasted time and parents' money. Okay, maybe a fraction of them found it useful. It has also got to do with the kind of college that they went to, right? So this was the realization that came back to us and said, should we allow this waste to happen at all, right? For 4 years of rote learning without understanding something that is useful, practical. And the worst part is all of this gets erased, and then you get into training them from scratch. Right, this is not new to Zoho. I remember Infosys started this academy in Mysore way back in, I think, early 2000, right? So again, with the same thing that you kind of forget whatever you learned, come here, work with us for 6 months or 9 months, we'll train you and make you what we want you to be. So we started out there. So, the questions were, did he learn anything at all at the college? And when will he or she start to be productive? Right. So this was the question that the managers were facing. Right. So it was not the students' fault. It was the fault of the system that, so then we said, why don't we go and take some steps to fix it? So it was the 3 seeds that we watered, as Rajendran Dandapani, who is the founder of Zoho Schools, all said. One is the philosophy, second is the necessity, and third is the realization. The philosophy is, we just didn't want to bother about credentialism. At Zoho today, anyone applies. We just don't care about which college, what percentage they scored, from, it could be ISB, it could be Wharton, it could be anything, it could be IIT. We respect everybody equally. We put them through the standard grind of what we want to assess them for. If they come out good, we take them in. So we really don't care about credentialism. No one flaunts their degrees. No one flaunts their the pedigree of the college they come from. They are a national ranker, whatever. It doesn't matter at all. And in fact, I would be shy talking about ISB. I never introduce myself. Maybe I'll be happy to introduce myself as a student of Satya Institute of Higher Learning. Definitely not ISB. Of course, ISB would not love to hear this from me. But I'm just saying, Zoho doesn't care. The outer world would care. But Zoho doesn't care. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Second is the necessity. As I said, where do we get the talent that we want? If we keep waiting for these people to shape up and deliver, we would be the losers more than someone else. As a business, as I said, it was clearly a business need. The third is, it is the talent that we wanted. right? So we got a lot of students to apply. We put through all the tests, and finally we realized they are not what we wanted. Then we said, why don't we take the bull by its horn, right? So we wanted to have something which is a meaningful alternative to conventional college education. The three words here are extremely important, which is whatever you learn, is this contextual? Whatever you learn, is this relevant? And most importantly, whatever you learn, is this experiential, right? So I'm sure this group understands what we mean by all of this. Contextual is more from the fact that if they don't understand how the customers use our products, how the software products get built, what kind of safety security gets plugged into those products, if they don't understand that, there is no point in them going through the education process. Second is the relevance. We talked about this. The technology keeps changing. Like with the current era of AI, if you all know, everyone is seriously doing a soul searching on, if I am a coder, will I have anything to do in 5 years? If I am a marketer, will I have anything to write as content? If I am a teacher, will I have some relevance at all? So relevance is something that keeps changing, right? So we looked at how do we make it relevant? That means it has to be dynamic and it has to be adaptive to the market environments, which is absolutely contrary to the traditional education system even today, sadly. Not only in India, it is not about India. We see exactly the same thing in United States, in Australia, in Canada. I pity whoever spends, maybe 1.5 crores going to get an MS degree. I really don't know, particularly in the last year or so after the advent of AI. I really feel sad for them that they don't understand what they're getting into. I'm not being critical. I'm just telling you this is our realization. I hope you're not wrong. Third is experiential. The peer learning, being in the same environment. Can you absorb the work done by your peers? That's the thing that we really looked at as a meaningful alternative to the education. So as it says, we start small, but we always thought big of how we will do this, right? So we started with 6 students, not many options, about 3 subjects from a nearby school, 2 teachers, and some basic aptitude. That's where we started. Now it has spawned into something really big and meaningful. When I say big, we have about 4 or 5 centers. I'll talk about it as we go along, but we primarily have 3 divisions. One is the Zoho School of Technology, where we teach them everything about software development, product management, security, privacy, all of that. Then this Zoho School of Design. Okay, this Zoho School of Design is really interesting. Here again, we found there is a serious lack of talent. The design has 2 aspects to it. One is the product design, which is the UI, the UX, how you can understand the pulse of your user and how you change your product according to your customer and their expectations and their skill level and proficiency, whatnot. Right? The other part is marketing requires a lot of content and engaging content, and that also has a need for people who are extremely well versed in design. The third is School of Business. We had difficulty finding people who are good in their techno commercial. We find guys who are extremely good technically, who couldn't speak a word cohesively and convince someone, or we can find people who can faff their way through but can't understand a word of tech. So we said, why don't we again train students in technology as well as on the business side of things, so they can go and talk about technology with confidence while they are trained to be good in marketing, in sales, etc. So each school has its own focus. I talked about this. It's one focuses on well-rounded software engineer, other focuses on digital graphics and user design, and the third one focuses on content, marketing, sales, pre-sales, etc. So what do we teach here? Predominantly we focus on multi-dimensional curriculum that gets adapted almost every 6 months, if not shorter. Okay, so every time there is a change in the technology, there is change in the content, we keep adapting. Therefore, the students are always on the cutting edge when it comes to learning. Okay, so it is one thing is it's extremely practical. The practicality comes from the fact that we don't make them sit in the class, go through a grind of some sessions, and get them to come and, with rote learning, come and vomit it out and then forget the day after they wrote the exams what they learned. So this has to be something that they get their hands dirty. There is no theoretical thing here. So they get exposed to technology, they get to build it, they stumble, they fall, they go walk around, learn from the other colleagues. So they are situated, co-located within Zoho's work locations. So they can go and talk to our CRM team or our books team, Zoho books team. So they are all real guys who are actually building software. So they go and ask, seek help, right? And get themselves exposed practically. Second is the self-paced learning. This is something very, very unique. Here, there are curriculums defined. No student is ever mandated to attend the class, and no teacher can question the student for not attending the class. If the student doesn't turn up for the class, either the student is too bright or the teacher is too dumb. Okay, one other thing is true. So if we are not able to get the students come, and if you are not able to give them something that's beyond ChatGPT or Google search, then you are a teacher worth your salt. That's the philosophy. So the onus is on the teachers to ensure the students come to the class, and it's not the other way around. The third is the freedom to explore. Like Sridhar, Raj beautifully calls it, explore the shades of gray. It's not black and white. Each one is unique. Each one's outlook is unique. We allow them to experiment, try and fail. So they keep trying new things. They learn in the process. They pick their path. We are just guiding them during the process. So classes are really small. There are many experience. It's video-based, peer-to-peer learning all the time that keeps happening. Very few lectures, zero exams. There are no exams at all. Okay, so no one is under stress to do something. They enjoy what they do, and they are not under pressure to score this, get this cut off, get placed within Zoho. What happens if I don't get placed within Zoho? No stress. Just go enjoy yourself, right? Then the final graduation evaluations are all project-based, open book assignments, and none of them are, like a traditional closed book examinations. The subjects I talked about: product design, product management fundamentals, math. We strongly believe in the power of quant because it's directly proportional to the ability to build software. Communication skills, English, personality development, etc. 17 to 20 years is the sweet spot. Very rarely we go outside this because we believe this is the time that we could sculpt them the way we want them to be. Okay. Before this, you're not legally allowed. Beyond 20, they have their own impressions of the life and they've gone through some grind and they may not be really what we're looking for. So this presentation that is used by us in the publicly. So contrary to what people pay, about 3 to 4 lakhs, or at least during the course of 4 years, sometimes it goes up to 12, 15 lakhs. And then the cost of transportation, whatever. Zoho pays stipend to the students. That's not just to show we have the ability to foot the bill. This is because many of these students come from really, really rural background. And this goes and calms the mind of their parents about the financial anxiety. And this gives them also, this happens around Zoho's work locations in Chennai, in Tenkasi, etc. So they need to find a place to live. They need to manage their costs. So this is given to make sure that they don't burden their parents. They can fund their own education, and Zoho funds it indirectly also, right? So there are no school fees, there are no commitments, right? I talked about this, no exams, no attendance. The beauty is, once they pass, they take the Zoho's recruitment process like any other student who is about 21 years old, out of an engineering college. They compete head on with others. They get the same compensation as others. In the neighborhood that I'm living, a close friend of mine, his family has a girl who's about 23 or 24. She got into this. She didn't choose Zoho school. She went into a private college. They shelled out 10 lakhs. Okay. And my nephew, who happened to write and came through the program and joined Zoho schools through his merit, of course. And, he also passed at the same time. So his compensation was about 6 lakhs, and this girl's compensation was about 4.5 lakhs. Okay. And the girl has a degree from a well-recognized institute, and my nephew has a certificate. I wouldn't call it a degree, a certificate from Zoho schools. That's how it is. And so someone comes into Zoho schools, there is 100% guarantee that they'll be placed by Zoho. If they don't make the cut, we ask for detailed feedback from managers on why you're rejecting the student. And they are sent back to the workshop, they are chiseled, made ready, sent back once again. The ownership is on Zoho schools to make sure they are employable and they get placed within Zoho. So beyond this, of course, each one is given a laptop max, right? We give them food all 3 times a day. We provide transport, no bonds, no agreements, and people are at will to engage with Zoho, and they are at will to leave after getting their education. If they don't find Zoho is doing justice to the talent, they are free to leave. That's why we say no bonds, no agreements. So it's a simple entrance test, but it's not simple to crack. I can assure you, about 3,000 people take the test, and about 20, 30 of them make the cut. And what we do is very interesting. We go after government schools and motivate them to encourage their children to take the test. And we conduct the test across these multiple locations, and then we filter them and we bring them in. So most of these guys from tier 3, tier 4 government schools can't speak 3 words of English, extremely strong quantitatively. They don't know how to express themselves too well, but they have the inherent capability. That's all we care. We do most of our meetings in Tamil. We are not ashamed about it. If someone, of course, in the room doesn't speak Tamil, we switch, but we allow things to be as natural as it can get. Some examples here of us doing this in the rural schools. Of course, Sridhar loves all of this. He lives himself in a rural part of India in Ethinkasi, always surrounded by kids. And he just now started a school called Kalaivani Kalvi Mayam. Kalaivani is, you all know, Kalvi is education, Mayam is center. So it is Kalaivani Education Center. They do a lot of rural upskilling, plumbing, carpenting, mechanics, etc. And we make sure that they are all skilled in some form or the other and employable. So schools in numbers been around for 20 plus years, 2,200 graduates, 99% of them work for Zoho, no degrees awarded, 64 faculty now, and she is working on one of the cutting edge technologies. She's from a place called Surandai. I don't know this place, coming from Tamil Nadu. She works with Sridhar Vembu. She works on the most cutting edge technology on AI plus developing a new language that can significantly improve the software development productivity. And this is not something that we preach. This is in real action. This girl is all of 22 or 24, and she works with Sridhar directly, and that comes from the ability of the school to produce that kind of a talent, right? This guy was a security guard at Zoho, got to know about Zoho schools. We encouraged him to, security guard's son, by the way, we encouraged him to take the session, and again, he's another proud product, right? So I'll have one small video to play, and then I'll wind up with.
20 years of Zoho schools.
We learned with curiosity.
எப்பவுமே கியூரியஸா இருப்போம்.
Bolda think பண்ணுவோம். We didn't take the usual route.
We challenged convention
and crafted our path.
We solved
Problems. We design dreams.
We communicate change.
Stronger together.
We are Zoho.
We are proud to be from Zoho School.
We are proud to be from Zoho schools. We're proud to be from Zoho Schools.
So one last thing. So what makes it tick? These are all the things I talked about it: practical exposure, a stipend, high-speed internet, opportunity to learn from peers working in the same campus, open book assessments. It's always project-driven, highly contextual and relevant. Focus also on communication skills and not the plain old, grammar. Expert teachers because they are, sadly, I have been part of some of these educational institutions with great merit, and I have seen professors who came and did a case study for me in 2004 and 2011. I got to see the same professor doing the same session, and he used exactly the same set of slides. The only difference, what that time there used to be a bulb and a projector of sorts. He converted into a PowerPoint. Beyond that, I didn't see. I don't want to name the institute. It's the premier institute in the country, right? But this is not the case here. It's dynamic. It keeps changing. So the 4 zeros: zero fees, zero attendance, zero exams, zero bonds. We convert those 4 fees into a stipend of 10,000 rupees, and we kind of make it relevant for the students. So yeah, with that, I would stop. I'll be happy to take any questions that I think I can answer.
Thank you, Anand, for the fantastic presentation. I think this is eye-opening for many of us, and we're very proud to see an Indian corporation, a company, putting their might in the light of what the IT sector has done to the country, but redefining it in a very unconventional way and producing results silently for the last 20 years or so is truly, I think, breathtaking. Thank you for this. What we'll do now is we'll take few questions. First from the questions which we have got in our this. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So the first question is around. You spoke about how 1% of the applicants are selected, right? How does Zoho Schools filter candidates? You talked about the entrance exams and so on, but if you can just double click on that, because I read somewhere it said fire in the belly kind of a selection criteria is used, where you're targeting students from low income families with rural backgrounds and who have a strong desire to succeed rather than the academic credentials. So if you can throw more light on this part of filtration, which is like the key criteria for getting the students.
No, it's a great question. See, when you have 3,000 people, obviously the first few rounds are extremely focused on quant. And the quant here is focused on conceptual learning, not rote learning. It's not about what they can crack in terms of how quickly they can crack. It's not about can they answer 17 questions in 15 minutes, right? So it's about have they understood what they've learned. And the focus is on 8th, 9th, 10th, or 11th kind of quant, and not really something that, you should have gone to a Fiji kind of an environment to be able to crack. But having come beyond that, we are looking for people who are passionate about this, who believe in this, and not people who are looking at this as a, I am also applying to Zoho Schools. We really look at how hungry they are, and are they people who we believe will stay with us and continue to contribute to Zoho, or people, doing some shopping around, right? So that's something, that's what you probably would have heard. But yeah, the focus is on their intent and their energy, so that we do justice to what we spend. Right?
Okay, yeah, makes sense. We have a question from Rashmi Umesh. She's a teacher at the Aditya Birla Public School. She's asked about, in the last 2 decades, Zoho has succeeded using an unconventional model. What are the key success factors which have led to this? You alluded to some of that in your presentation, but if you have to name, what is the success mantra, so as to say?
I'm assuming this question about Zoho itself and not Zoho Schools, but largely it comes by the same spirit. One is trust. There is insane amount of trust on employees. Okay, and trust drives motivation and not fear. So it's always driven by trust. The second important thing is the freedom to fail. We always allow people to try and fail. So this is always, it's more like a Zoho Labs than Zoho Corporation. So it's a lab where people are allowed to try. Sometimes they compete against team. So there's always this thing to, I need to innovate, I need to go and crack the code, I need to make it big. So that the trust and the willingness to allow them to fail are two important things, I would say, beyond anything else that made us what we are today.
Okay. Right. Another question is from Priya Kumari. She asks, you spoke about that most of the students get absorbed in the Zoho ecosystem. So she asked, what percentage of personnel at Zoho Corp are from Zoho schools? And followed up with another question on how do you plan to maintain diversity in the future?
About 13 to 15% of the people working for Zoho come from Zoho schools. When we say diversity, I think they mean more not from a gender perspective, but I think more from a regional perspective.
Right.
So what we are looking at is to see how we can do something in the central part of India. There is something that we are working on. But as I said, you need to create an ecosystem. We can't simply go and find a building, hire some 4 teachers and start as Zoho schools. You have to build that ecosystem, and the peer learning is super critical. And unless we are able to create this ecosystem elsewhere, getting that diversity from people from different regions perspective is not easy. So it has to be a more calibrated, well thought through move.
So on the question on scaling up, right? So this is Vamsi Krishna is asking, when and how will this unconventional education enter and spread across the country, given that education has become a growing profitable business opportunity at the cost of giving practical knowledge to the next generation? So what is the plan to shape it bigger to create a better and bigger impact on the upcoming generation in India? So I think you answered in your previous, the question you answered, but if you want to add something.
See, this is not a CSR initiative. If anybody wants to do this as a CSR, you can come and learn and work on this. We are very clear this has got a purpose. In the process, whatever we can do, we'll do. So will 2,000 students become 200,000 students? That's not our goal, right? Because we don't believe in that. We don't aim to do that. Okay. Eventually, we may help other institutes to learn and practice this methodology if they are interested. But our goal is not to increase the scale and disrupt the education system in India. That's not our goal.
Right. Okay. That's clear. We have some questions in the chat, and after that, we'll go. We have from Mitra's Foundation, bunch of students who also may like to ask some questions. Before that, Ramakrishna is asking, how is the curriculum designed to align with real world industry requirements?
See, all the product managers, salespeople face customers day in and day out. We face competition every day. So we keep working on adapting our products to the latest trends. So the same set of people end up going and teaching there. So these are the people who are designing the curriculum or the people who are actually fighting competitors out in the market. They are not somebody who is sitting in a cave who wrote a curriculum some 4 years back and then or 40 years back and continue to teach them, right? So this is people hands-on. So obviously,
right. Before we go, I think we have 2 questions in the chat as well. 2 of them I would ask. This is Dr. Gosha as well as Sai Geeta Selvam. They wanted to ask, how can I join this unique service of our organization and engage in such kind of service? So as you made it clear, it's not a CSR activity, but at a very broader level, if you can answer.
they're really interested in teaching and would want to explore that as an option, they're welcome to try Zoho. I can make some introductions. But I would say if it's possible for them to learn something from this, many of them are actually working, right? So you can find a bunch of students, engage with them, 10 of them, and you mentor them on the current trends in technology. I personally do it. I get great satisfaction engaging with some 10 students who live in my community and give them support and guidance, and not only on the core technical things, but also on the real life situations. I think that itself will be a great value addition. But yeah, if they are welcome to look at, there's no part-time teaching. This very serious business at Zoho schools, and knowing Raj, he would make sure we are even more competitive when it comes to entering Zoho schools. Right? So yeah, this is some serious business. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to follow on to that, Ramakrishna asked, who are the faculty from academia or Zoho? So you had clarified that, right? This is
yeah. This is largely, there could be some who came in from the academia, but they came in knowing fully well what we expect from them, and they are fully aligned with this philosophy, and so that's how they are here.
Okay, that's clear. Savitaka, if you want to ask some questions, if the students and Mitras want to ask some questions, and then we take some live questions from the participants here.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Cool. Because I think on the screen we are unable to hear my voice. So the first question from Mitras will obviously be, so when is Zoho school coming to Mitras or coming to Puttaparthi?
You're welcome to Zoho. I'll take you to Zoho schools. We can discuss.
Thanks. And any of you have any question? Anything that you've thought of? So they want to know if others other than from Tamil Nadu can also apply?
Yeah, of course. Anyone from yeah.
The application comes up on your website. How do they apply?
Yeah, it comes up. It comes up on the website. I can share it in the group chat.
That will be great. That will be great. So this is only meant for students after their 10th, or even if somebody is interested after their 12th, I mean 10th, 12th, or even after degree, if they are interested, can they apply?
No.
So what if they have left degree halfway? Like you had put around 17 to 20, right? So somebody is 18 or 19, has left degree, joined degree, and he or she is not interested. Can they also apply?
Yeah. Rajendran himself is a dropout, if I'm not mistaken. So if somebody drops out, wants to become the next Facebook CEO, yeah, they're welcome.
Amazing. Good.
I think we'll take one more question. I think you all had asked, what about the attrition level in Zoho schools, right? Because yeah.
Zoho schools or Zoho? I'll answer both.
I think yeah.
School. So I was more interested in Zoho schools.
Hardly any attrition. They can't find a better place to chill out and learn. So, yeah. Unless they are completely unfit into the system, they'll probably, a philosophical misalignment, they may leave. But I really don't know of people who leave those schools.
So how does Zoho school retain them? Is it also because of this stipend, or is it also that it's the subject interest? What is it that is holding them? No, it's a very relevant question for us, because we also keep thinking how to keep the students on?
See, one important factor is the fun and learning. The learning is out there, is fun, it's relevant. It is not something which is rote. That is one important thing. The second thing is they get to attend every week Sridhar Vembu's calls, and they can ask a question to Sridhar, with their name, without their name, anonymously. So if they happen to meet him, they can go ask questions. Anybody for that matter, including me or anyone for that matter, any employee. So that this is really something that motivates them. This is not I don't know why I'm learning this. I don't know how this is going to be relevant. Will I even work in this space at all? Right. So when they do this, they immediately, within 3-4 months, 6 months, they get to do a project in the same space. So they can see what they learn being applied right there. So that gets really interesting. In the process, some of them say, I chose School of Technology. I realize that's not what I would love to do. And they switch a bit. I think the team knows if it's allowed or not. I think in some exceptions, they do allow. So, but they are given that freedom. You can't go into an engineering degree, 1 year later, you realize this is not what I want to do. I want to do commerce. It's not possible there, it's possible here. So that comfort that you really know what you are doing and that ability to switch is something that probably helps them a lot.
Right. So I think we'll just give opportunity to other participants as well, because we want to wrap this up in the next 10 minutes or so. We have some questions in the chat window.
Let's club with Zoho. One last question from the student here, because I think we are not able to. I'm not sending it. The laptop has to go across. How are you able to run Zoho School with zero fees?
As I said, it's a for-profit enterprise, right? We make reasonable margins in our core business, and the same students have contributed back to earning that margin. So they are obliged to give it back to the school. So we don't see this as a separate entity which is run as a P&L.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like a training center for them.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So in the chat, I think it's Ramakrishna again. Are there tie-ups with universities or open degree pathways in case of a student wants formal credentials later? Is that a possibility here? Or anyway, you said Zoho is against credentialism. So
yeah. So we believe in every degree being equal, like Sarvadharma. So we couldn't care which degree they want to pursue. They are free to pursue after they finish their Zoho schools. Many of them, like my nephew I talked about, he's pursuing some degree of his own. Maybe for marriage purposes, he may need it, right?
Right. Yeah. That's clear. Manoj asks, has Zoho Schools engaged with Education Ministry at state or central level to make them aware of alternative models in an era of over-centralization and controlled education processes?
We really see many of them come, pay a visit, learn some things. I don't know what they do with them. We really don't engage with them in the real sense, because it's called Zoho Schools. We used to call it Zoho University. Then UGC, I believe, came back and said you can't call it a university. So we said we'll call it a school. So we changed it to Zoho Schools. So we are not really engaged in the sense. They are time and again somebody comes and visits, but we really don't engage with them so much.
Okay. In line with that, Sai Murli asks, what could be some of the alternative models to Zoho Schools, right? If you look at your market landscape and your competition in that sense, whom are you competing against, and what could be some of the other models which are more scalable?
The moment you think of scale, you're going to compromise on quality. Okay, that's why scale is a dangerous play if you're putting the school out for your business purposes. If you're doing this as a business itself, then it's a totally different play. The scale and all comes into question. So we compete with players like Freshworks. I think they have something like very similar, if I'm not mistaken. I've heard of that.
Mhm.
I don't know much though. I believe HCL has some program like this where they hire students after 12th grade and do something. But I don't know of, honestly, someone who has gone this far in terms of making it so organized and structured.
Yeah, that's clear. We have 9 minutes more. If anybody in the group has any questions, you can please switch on your video and ask a question. Just one question, please. Arya, Satyajit, brother, anybody? Neeraj?
Uh, just a comment. Actually, we at Cipla also do something similar like this, but after 12th science students we take, but like we don't do it in-house. We have tied up with BITS and like they work and earn scheme. I think many companies do, but US is a very unique. Same challenge even we find a lot of students come in, but like first 6 months are spent in training, and the training is so good that other competitors pay a premium and take. So, but but I think it's win-win. Both business need also a social enterprise.
Yeah.
Hope to visit someday and learn.
Sure. Welcome there.
So, brother, Ramnath brother has this question. Zoho school pays its students a stipend, effectively reversing the traditional educational model, where students typically incur debt. How does this negative fee model impact the socio-economic backgrounds of the students recruited? And what is a long-term financial ROI for Zoho, considering Rajendran in one of his presentations states such decisions are not purely based on numbers? So basically, you're inversing the model. What is the long-term ROI, and how does it impact your recruiting?
Yeah, see, as I said right at the beginning, Raj would probably have a much better view. I can share my perspective on this. When we are getting these rural children, particularly women folk from these rural parts to come and join this program, there is this serious fear of what will happen to them. Their earning gets affected. Many of them go and earn something, like in their school also they go and do some house job work or something like that. So this first arrest that financial insecurity and gives them the comfort, and while studying they are not depending on their parents, so they don't stop them from going. One is them earning, the other thing is the parents spending. By the stipend we are able to arrest both, so that gives them, the students, a calm environment to focus on learning. So that's the thing that it gives. The second big thing is we hire students from some well-known engineering colleges. They work with us for 2 years. They learn everything. They go for an MS degree in US, and all that we taught them is kind of wasted. Whereas the people who came from Zoho schools, they love who we are. They are philosophically aligned. The DNA is transformed to what we want them to be. So the attrition of the Zoho school students are almost negligible. So the ROI automatically is taken care of. Imagine taking 8-10 lakhs for compensation. 2 years they work, we invest 16-20 lakhs just on the real cost plus their overheads, and then they leave and they hardly would have contributed because the first year goes in learning, right? So we wouldn't have gotten anything. So that itself takes care of the ROI in my view. And then they are going and teaching back in the school. So the students who learn, they go back to the same school and then teach within Zoho schools, right? So for us, the streams that flows back into it are multiple. But of course, we never measure in the monetary terms on ROI of this.
Right. I think
I believe ROI measurement kills innovation to some level. So we don't strictly measure everything as ROI.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. 2 questions. Sai Geeta, sister, has asked, as a teacher, what's the procedure to join your school as a teacher? So is there any
Okay. I can share my email address. You can write to me. I'll introduce you to them. I don't know of a formal process.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And last question, no exams, no tests conducted. How are they assessed or evaluated?
It's an interesting process. It's like a swayamvar of sorts, right? So when they finish 6 months or 9 months, the students go for a 3 weeks internship in the with the 100 plus teams within Zoho. The students can judge the manager, and the manager can judge the students. Okay, the manager loves the student doesn't like the work culture, the technology that they are focusing. The student can give a pink slip to the manager and walk off, and the reverse is possible. Okay, so there is a clear focus on what's in it for me and what's in it for you. So they are always aligned in that sense. And that ensures this balance is maintained. And so there is, because they know they need to get placed. If they don't get placed, they are going to spend another 6 months learning. So everyone wants to do real work. Everyone wants to be part of real teams, right? So there is enough motivation for them to go and give their best.
Correct. Yeah. I think the incentives are quite aligned in all ways, and that makes it a win-win model. Yeah. I think we can go on speaking, and there's a lot to learn, but I think given limitation of time, I think it was a fantastic session. I think you have covered all the aspects, the selection criteria, the economic inversion model, the contextual knowledge over theoretical learning, right? And how this social experiment of the last 20 years plus has been turned into a very sustainable model and a recruitment pool for Zoho, and how you all rewrote the rules of so-called tech talent development, if I may put, right? So I think very grateful to you, Anand, for this highly insightful session. I think in the last 60 minutes or so, we have learned a lot. And in each of our capacities, we will see how we can grow beyond credentialism, beyond labels and degrees, and how we can be more application oriented, which will serve the company, the organization, and the country. So with that, thanks to all the participants who joined us, and all of y'all who asked good questions which enriched our minds. The recording of this session would be available in our YouTube channel, and you all can all wait for the next session of SciDev Talk soon. Thank you. Good day, Sairam. Thank you, well.
Thanks for the opportunity. Really great sharing our learnings. I'll be happy to clarify more or introduce if there is a need. Thank you.